Jake Paul can box, but can he fight? That's the question that I think is going to be answered here Saturday night. We need to figure that out. We know damn well Mike Perry can fight. We know that his boxing skills aren't probably going to be up to par with Jake's. I feel like a lot of people give Jake a hard time with his boxing skills. They don't want to give him the credit because he hasn't been in the game that long, but I think people sleep on the fact that he's got all the money in the world. He can afford the best trainers, the best physical therapists, can afford his own gym out in Puerto Rico. He can really lock in and focus solely on boxing and training. Like I said, his nutrition, his fitness, everything about it, he can really lock in and focus only on that. And I think people overlook that. People sleep on that because people are boxing to get to that point in their life for the most part. You know, people are fighting to get there. So when you have someone as young and athletic as Jake is, really his family, I guess, right? Because Logan seems to be a pretty special athlete as well. Hate on him as much as you want, like I said, but you see Logan flipping off the ropes and all that type of shit in the WWE. That's pretty insane. So I think that you got to put a little bit more respect to, you know, what Jake's able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. I think he can really close that gap. And like I said, I don't think the question here is, can he box? I think he's proven that already in his 10, 11 fights. So I think he's already answered that question, but can he handle the pressure that Mike Perry's going to bring to the table? You know, Mike Perry's going to make him feel like he's drowning in there. You know, when you're sitting there the whole time and, you know, someone's putting pressure on you and the whole time you're thinking about how to counter or how to get away from that, you're staying on your back foot. It's going to be hard to keep that pace for the full length of the fight, especially with a bulldog like Mike Perry's in your face, throwing everything he's got at you. So it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think it's going to be an interesting fight, though. I think this is really actually a 50-50 fight because Jake Paul does have the experience of boxing solely on his side. Obviously, Mike Perry does have some boxing experience. He's got some bare-knuckle boxing experience, but that's all very, very different. And I think one thing that also can be slept on when it comes to this fight is Jake Paul's ability to fight MMA fighters in boxing. For people that have never really been in there with someone, say if you've been training for, 5-6 years, and then you get some guy that comes in and he's only been training for like 9 months, a year, something like that. He's probably going to throw punches and move a little bit unorthodox. He's going to throw shit from places that you don't really see coming because you don't train for that. You train for punches coming down the middle. You train to be able to slip things in a certain way, and some guy starts throwing shit from, from his back pocket at you. It's a little bit different. It can be difficult to get out of the way of that, and I can admit that myself. I've been through that, so I think Jake's going to struggle with that as he's kind of come up in this world, being able to spar and be in training rooms with guys like Chad Dawson, high-level boxers, former champions. So it'd be interesting to see. Like I said, Mike Perry's going to bring that dog. He's going to bring that fire, and it's going to be different than Jake's ever experienced before. I think Jake has also this unique experience early on to be able to perform at a high level when there's a lot of shit on the line. Even when there's a lot of tension, he's kind of came in all of his fights with a lot of tension. I think that takes fighters a bit of time to adapt to fighting under all of that. It's already enough to get in there and have to fight, but when you said a bunch of shit, you put a lot on the line, it makes it a little bit harder. So, or not necessarily harder, but it just puts more on the line, So Jake's got a pretty good ability to go out there and perform in those moments. So it's going to be interesting to see if Mike Perry's had some big moments. Let's not sleep on that. He's definitely had some big moments, but I don't think they're going to stack up to this moment. I think this is going to be Mike Perry's moment. And if he really wants to break the scene and really become that superstar, he's going to need to beat the shit out of Jake. He's going to need to be the one to do that. Finally, we have a guy that I think can actually go out there and represent MMA in the right way. And it's kind of weird saying that because he's coming over from boxing a little bit, but still, I'd like to see it. And I hate picking certain fights sometimes because I'm really just a fan, and I don't like, wanting one man to do better than the other. Sometimes that kind of feels gross. But in this case, I think Jake's got his loss already. He's already taken L. So do I feel like I need to necessarily see Jake take another L like that did something for me? No. Did it change him? No. We got the same Jake after he took the L to Tommy Fury anyway. So doesn't change too much. But I do really like Mike Perry. So I've actually trained at the same gym. I've actually had a fight at the same gym that Mike Perry trains out of at Technique Boxing there in Orlando. So I know the coach. I got some family that trains out there and is also backed by their coach. So I do believe in their system. I do believe in what they have going on. And like I said, I'm rooting for Mike Perry to go ahead and bring it home to Florida and see what we can do with Mike's career moving forward. You know, what does that do? What doors does that open for Mike Perry if he does beat Jake Paul, and especially if he starts at Jake Paul? Does that open up new doors for him in boxing in general? Do they fight in MMA like they said they would? Who knows? You know, got a lot of different options on the table if that does happen. So I'm interested to see what how this plays out. You guys drop a comment down below. Let me know who you guys think is going to win the fight. Let me know how you think the fight's going to play out as well. I mean, do you think it's going to end in dramatic fashion? Do we get a finish, or is it going to go? Is he going to go the full extent of the fight? I have a hard time kind of believing it's going to go the full extent of the fight just because of the two people in there, and neither one of them have too much of a track record of decision victories. So let's see what happens. Like I said, my pick, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Normally, I wouldn't do it, but my pick for this fight is going to be Mike Perry. I think Mike Perry's going to get it done probably in the later rounds. I think, like I said, he's going to drown him. Too much pressure, too many punches coming at Jake. I don't think he's used to that type of fight. So I'm going to go with Mike Perry. Moving on to the rest of the card, we got Ashton Silva. Ashton Silva's coming out, and he's fighting another undefeated fighter, but I don't know who he is. I don't think really anybody knows who he is, and that makes him dangerous. He's an undefeated fighter. Like I said, so two undefeated fighters going at it. It's a good thing they picked up somebody that seems to be decent enough or a respectable fight enough to replace Floyd Schofield, who was supposed to fight Ashton Silva. That would have been a really good fight. They both two young and up-and-coming fighters, and I think that would have really been another good step in the right direction for boxing. Boxing is really starting to try to put those fights together that people want to see and not wait so long. Those are two young fighters, like I said, two young, undefeated, hungry fighters that would have been fighting at, you know, I don't know if you'd necessarily even call it the prime of their career, but, you know, at a good point in their career. So it's getting interesting to see that boxing starting to put these type of fights together, and I think that was one of them that I was excited to see, and I think we're still going to get that. I think they're probably going to run that back depending on how Ashton Silva performs in this one, so I look forward to that. Another interesting one is Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is finally coming back. He's coming back after also his last boxing fight, which is very interesting. Uriah Hall's getting older. He had a bit of an anticlimactic UFC career. He was supposed to be the next coming Anderson Silva, and really just when you get that tag or that title thrown on you, you're supposed to be like the next Anderson Silva or whatever, the next Conor McGregor. It's like it's hard to fill those shoes, and you're always going to get a little bit of extra hate on top of it. So tough career for Uriah Hall. Was a good career, but still a tough career. So it's interesting to see that he's making the decision to come back to boxing and to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He might be also in need of rehab, but I think that regardless, he's still Chavez Jr. You know what I mean? Don't sleep. He's still a legitimate fighter. I think he had legitimate world titles, so I think still coming off a bender, Chavez Jr. is probably going to beat the hell out of Uriah Hall, unfortunately. It's boxing, dude. You can't go in there with people, in my opinion. And I just, maybe because I'm a boxing purist and I really believe in the sweet science, I just feel like there's no way Uriah Hall is going to be able to come over and just beat Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr. has done a lot. Although Anderson Silva did it, Anderson Silva was special. Again, Anderson Silva was Anderson Silva. Uriah Hall was supposed to be the next Anderson Silva and never made that. So does that surprise me? No. You know what I mean? It did surprise me to see Anderson do Chavez the way he did, but I think Chavez may have learned from that, and I think this is going to be it's going to be an interesting fight, but I do think Chavez Jr. wins that one as well. Again, guys, let me know how you guys feel about it. Let me know who you guys think is going to win that fight. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Looks like 90% of the views that we get, people are not subscribed. We're going to be dropping videos maybe 2-3 times a week, maybe more than that. So, you know what I mean? Lock in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, show some love, show some support, get the comments going, and we'll be back next week.